Okay, so we're starting our meeting, our workshop meeting now.
We don't have our switches in. Anyone can pick up the form?
Hmm?
Do we have enough switch form? Switches in
No,
and
because
all
we have to be person.
Oh, I see.
We don't.
Okay.
You guys let us know when you're ready. Are we the only item on the agenda?
Really, yes, because we're just doing a workshop. We can't really take any actions.
Okay.
But we can discuss what you wanted to discuss, which is mostly why we're here, I think.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for taking the time. My name's Jeff Hayes. I'm the principal planner from Growth Management. I'm going to share my screen to kick off the discussion so I can let you guys know what we are up to. In the county's comprehensive plan, we have any number of land uses. We've got all the residential land uses. You can see just on the left-hand side of this map and the legend, they're not lit up, but you can see the kinds of different land uses we have on our future land use map.
Yeah.
Within our comprehensive plan. And the board, one of the land uses we have is a recreation land use. And you can actually see on this map, I've got those sort of highlighted in red. It's the green outline highlighted in red. And there's several different types of properties that have that recreation future land use. There are public parks. So for instance, Veterans Kanapahal Park has that recreation future land use. The actual Kanapahal Lake property that the county owns has that recreation future land use. And so those are public properties, obviously. Squirrel Ridge Park has that recreation future land use designation. But other properties that have that designation in the county are areas like the golf courses that are associated with Gainesville Golf and Country Club, Meadowbrook, West End. And then there's various other properties. There's a few boat ramps. There's, I think, a historic cemetery that have that designation. This area here off of 39th Avenue that you see lit up is actually just a drainage area. I think it's actually privately owned as part of a development, and it was a drainage area that was given that designation. And as some of you may have heard, the county got a request last year to look at doing some changes to the West End golf course and a redevelopment proposal to change that land use and to change the zoning. And that application has actually been withdrawn at the current time. So that's no longer pending, but the board realized and staff realized when that application came in that we didn't have any policies that governed the recreation future land use. So all of the other land uses in the comprehensive plan have policy language that really determines what can and cannot happen on those properties. And then those policies are actually further defined in our land development code and in our zoning code to enable, what kinds of densities are allowed for residential properties or what kind of uses are allowed on non-residential properties. But for this recreation land use, that we had the designations on the map, but we did not have any policy. So the board directed staff to develop policies that would govern these properties. And so, as I mentioned, we got public property, we've got private property, but primarily they're all outdoor recreation is sort of the guiding, the one thing they have in common. Some of them, don't have an active recreation role. As I mentioned, there's a few outliers like that drainage area. There's some of the passive recreation properties as well. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Mike, and Mike, I can share. I can pull the policies up here. Who can go over, unless you want to share your screen, who could go over the draft policies we have, and we'd love to get some. I know it's a workshop meeting and we can't get a motion from ROSCO, but we would love to get any input the individual members have. And if you guys at a future meeting want to take it up as well when you have an actual quorum, but of course we would appreciate any input you have on the proposed policies. And so I'll bring them up here.
Yeah, if you'll just keep a hold of the screen, Jeff, and put the policies up, then I can talk about them. So like Jeff was saying, these are
1 second.
new policies because there was the category of recreation land use, but there were no policies that went along with it. So we have drafted these just to give an overall broad framework. And then you'll see in the policies that are listed that there are specific standards in the land development code, existing specific standards in the land development code. We developed these by looking at some other communities and also by looking at what we had in our code for future land use, for outdoor recreation, golf courses, and the sorts of things that occur in recreation land use categories, and developed them that way. Jeff, are you able to show the policies on your screen?
Yeah, you can't see them. I'm sorry.
No.
Hold
I'm
on.
still seeing the workshop notice. Or maybe
No.
that, oh, you know what, maybe that's my screen. No, that's your screen.
Hold on. A little glitch. Tell me.
There they are.
Okay. Sorry about that.
So we structured these the way most of the land use policies are in the future land use element. State the category 10 and then objective 10.1, so the overall, the overarching idea here, establishing this land use category to provide for private and public outdoor recreation in the county, and then subject to standards and policies here in this section. And then the first part of that then breaks it down a little bit further, that range of outdoor activities, which may be resource-based, like a boat ramp or a historic cemetery, or activity-based, like Kanapahawk Park would be. Squirrel Ridge, I guess, has both walking trails and some active fields, so it's maybe a little bit of both, resource and activity-based. But we did want to make sure we included natural resources, so any, again, boat ramps are a good example of a natural resource-based recreation land use because they provide access to waterways. But we also included historic resources and sites, whether they are private or public. Then policy 10.1.2 just indicates that we will mark them on the future land use map, which we'd already done, and now we're kind of filling in a gap here. But generally, they'll be inside the urban cluster. But if they're outside the urban cluster, in other words, outside the area of urban type development, urban and suburban type development, then we want them to be compatible in use and scale with the rural character. So, for example, we wouldn't allow a go-kart park or something like that in the rural ag area, because that wouldn't necessarily be compatible in the use and scale. And then the third policy here is we want to be sure to include parks that might be hybrid based or something else. So we wanted to recognize that there might be indoor uses. For example, perhaps one day Kanapahawk Park or Jonesville Park that gets a building that has indoor basketball court or an indoor track or something like that. So that would be a complementary use. But we also recognize that some of these might have clubhouses or concession facilities. Like it could be a drink stand. It could be, for example, West End Golf Course had that small clubhouses and pro shop that had golf clubs or golf balls and those sorts of things. So we wanted to make sure that we included those. And also we in particular referenced that the land development regulations have the regulations for the scale, intensity, and buffering of structures. So in other words, to help make sure that it does fit within there. So a buffer, in other words, from other uses, scale and intensity might regulate things like lighting, how big a structure might be, and those sorts of things. And that's just that's really the essence of these policies, because like I said, our land development code has more specific directions on some of these recreation uses. Once a site is designated and indicated, then it goes into, there are specifics about how some of those might work. Let me stop there and answer any questions that there are, or kind of I can fill in any other background that is needed.
So Mike, This is Irina, the chair of the ROSCO committee. And I wanted to ask, I noticed on the screen when Jeff was presenting that behind, I'm going to say north, rather of Buholt High, he mentioned there's like a retention pond. Why is that on the recreation land use map? Yeah,
The shortest and most honest answer is we don't know. As we were carrying out the board direction to establish these policies, this is one of the ones that came up that we found and just honestly kind of said, huh, that's designated recreation. And we haven't really spent any staff time looking into why. If I were to give you an educated guess, it is that when that neighborhood was developed, it might have been developed as a PD, a planned development, and the retention area was designated on the development plan as recreation or something like that. That is not one, because it's privately owned, we don't, and it's in use as the development's retention basin, we don't anticipate that we'd be developed into any sort of active recreation.
Okay, just satisfy my curiosity. I wondered how I guess that's the only one on this map that's designated.
As far as we've been able to establish, yes.
Okay.
But thanks for asking the question, because we'll make sure we have a little bit more clear answer when we get to the board.
A good sort of follow up on that is that, this first part of the process is determining the policies. There could be a second part of the process of actually proposing map amendments. So if, determining on that one, there's probably not really any harm in just keeping it the way it is. We did realize though, in looking at the map, for instance, that, and I'm trying to zoom down there slowly but surely, that some of the actual lots within the Gainesville Golf and Country Clubs, some of the developed residential lots are mapped with the recreation land use. So that might be an instance where the board directs us to do a county initiated change just to take some of these are lots, they're not fairways or greens, they're developed with homes, but go ahead and do a map change to clean that up and put them into a residential future land use category that would be more appropriate and that goes along with the surrounding development.
Those are good considerations. Thank you for clearing that up and just curiosity. So this is going to go before the board as part of is it our master plan? I always get them confused. Not our work plan, but our master plan for the recreation.
No, this will not be part of the recreation master plan. This is a more short-term project because like Jeff indicated, as the West End land use map amendment was being proposed before it was withdrawn, that's when folks realized that we didn't have, the board in particular brought it to in focus that there was not a set of policies that guide how recreation land use is used, its purpose, and how it's carried out, what it's intended for. And so this is just to add clarity for that purpose. If, for example, wild spaces in public places were to require some outdoor recreation park areas, and rather than say more conservation land, these policies would guide some of those activities.
Okay.
And just to follow up on that, the process, the next step for this would be, so staff will use these draft policies. We would develop an amendment package. It would go to our planning commission, which actually may happen in September. And then it would go to the Board of County Commissioners, and then they would have a look at it, make any changes, and it'd be a large scale comprehensive plan amendment because it's text as well. And so that would then we transmit it to the state, we get it back, and then it would be adopted. So there's a several month process. So there is time for additional input, over the next several months.
And recognizing that in this workshop, the ROSCO committee can't make any motions. If you do have any comments today, just kind of let's make sure they're as clear as possible. But this, if the rest of the committee would like to have this in a meeting where they can take action, we can bring it back. But we just wanted to try to keep making as much forward progress as we can. And at least by having this workshop, we can, the next step is going to be having we call it a neighborhood workshop. We're gonna have it on Zoom like this one, but basically bring it out to the public for any comments or suggestions.
And this meeting, we're recording it, so we're going to encourage our members of the board to watch it. So they'll catch up to, to the information. They'll have access to it.
Great.
Thank you for presenting today. This is good information. I don't have any other questions or concerns. Let me see the map one more time. That's kind of in a full view of the county. Can you
Yes,
pull
ma'am.
that up, Jeff?
Mhm. So some of the outlying properties, I know that there's a, I don't know, Jason, you know, there's a property up near High Springs next to the boat ramp that the county owns that has a recreation land use.
McCall.
Yes, exactly.
It is, yeah. And then also, I think that looks like it must be, is that Earl Powers Park on Newman's Lake, or is it yeah, that must be Powers. No, that's from Gainesville Rowing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the Gainesville Rowing.
So now I do have a question.
Oh, no, sorry.
Is this inclusive of all of our parks in Alaska County? I guess not, right?
No, that's good question. It's not. And it probably has something to do with when this land use was first put on the map, or when we first adopted a comprehensive plan. It's not that every park, and I know we've added new parks, and like Jonesville Park, for instance, isn't on here. So that's another. Public parks are allowed in every zoning district. They're a permitted use in, and I believe every zoning district. So there's not an immediate need to necessarily update the map to make sure they're all recreation, but for the ones that are, and I think the primary driving part of this discussion is for the privately held parcels, because there's an issue of what rights they have if there's no policy backing. So that's the primary goal, but that's a good question and a good point, is not all of the county parks are recreation land use.
Oh. And this is just me, my whatever left side, my brain talking. When do the other parts of the legend on the left come into play? Like, when can we see it all colored in?
Well,
If I was skilled enough with using this map, I could probably turn them on for you right now. But I can certainly pull up a different map, and let me see.
yeah, turn on your Map Genius, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just curious.
Well, it's pretty simple. I'll give you a quick
One way of looking at it
map
is
Genius now, but
all the colors are on all the time. And on that particular map we were just looking at, Jeff had just the recreation isolated.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
this is actually countywide, so this will show the ones in the municipalities as well.
Oh, yeah, see. It's really, right.
The sort of more frequent, this is our rural ag future land use that it's in the county. That's sort of that green that you see. There's a preservation green. So all of the state parks and a lot of our Alachua County Forever parks and preservation lands are in that dark green. There's sort of this in-between green. Here's, you can see at Lake Kanapaha, you can see this is the recreation land use. Shows up pretty well there. And then this yellowish is our low density residential. So that's 1 to 4 dwelling units per acre. It's sort of one of our more predominant land uses on the map.
A lot of residential in there, but that's good.
Yes.
I'm not seeing equal, I can't, do the numbers, of course, seeing equal parts, but I think we have a good spread there for sure. Wow.
And this spawns my curiosity on what is this institutional, Mike? This
It
Jonesville?
is. Jonesville
Okay.
Park is institutional, I think, because we got it from UF, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Quite some time ago, more than 20 years.
Hmm.
And I think it was an IFAS facility or something like that.
Right.
So again, that's a case of where it was, because it was institutional, it wasn't incompatible with the park. At the time, the decision was just leave it alone. But that's something the board could direct us to go back to and adjust the map to have more of our parks have the recreation land use.
We did have a history of when Alachua County Forever would purchase, and I don't know if this is continued, but for many years, especially, it was a requirement of some grants that they actually changed the land use to conservation or preservation. That's why you do see a fair number of the Alachua County Forever parks that have been purchased in the last 20 years have that preservation land use.
Yeah, for example, in that bigger map, Bar Hammock is one of the ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one that we changed.
Okay, this is wonderful. So this is all created by growth management?
With assistance from all of the other county departments, but the maps, yeah, we growth management handles the comprehensive plan, or we maintain it with cooperation from all the other departments.
Is this something that's isolated on the web somewhere, or is it just sitting in your hard drive somewhere?
Yes, both of those maps, our Map Genius program is of course available to everyone online, and then that specific map that I had the recreation properties called out is, and I can make sure that you guys all get a link to that because that's online and you can zoom around and look around as well.
I think that would be helpful, but that's really impressive. So thank you for doing that work. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if you want to hang on for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to. You were kind of at the end of the agenda here, so that's good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Totally, because the other, it may go faster than we think due to not having a quorum. But do we have anybody else come on in the meantime?
Well, I think I'll jump off and go to my next Zoom meeting if that's okay.
All right, good work. Thank you, Jeff. Again,
Thank you.
for joining us.
Thank you very much, and feel free to, if there are more questions, I guess members of the ROSCO committee can submit them to the chair, who can give them to staff, and they can get to us that way.
Or Paola, because you may or may not know this, but I'm leaving, but there's a new person in my stead. But thank you again, Mike. This is really good information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so do we do the approval of the agenda? We can't do that. Okay, so that's marked off, and then approval from the minutes. I guess everybody's seen those. All right, so we're on number 4 on the agenda, which is old business, which I'm really excited to talk about. Now we have some traction behind some of these items on the agenda. So either is John on the line? Yeah, John's here. John or Jason or whomever, do you want to tell us about what's happening a little bit out to the south of us in Tuscaloosa?
I don't have the agenda. What was it in specific about Cuscola?
I heard, where did I hear that they were, they had a waiting list for kids, I guess for summer camp, maybe into the winter time. I don't know how that works. I just wanted an update on that. I was really excited.
Summer camp concluded. I didn't get any final numbers, but I know they did have quite a bit of a waiting list, and then they did approve allowing more kids to attend. So it was received very well. The camp went well. It was reviewed very well. And then got a lot of positive feedback. So we had a great first season. Of course, now the property will shut back down to public access soon, because Public Works will be starting to redo, or I guess it would be Road and Bridge, redo the parking area. So it will be closed and finally open to the public probably January. And that'd be like full, hopefully access to the property for the trails and everything. So,
Including the bumpy road as we go in the main entrance.
yeah, they've worked on it a little bit, but I think that's just going to have to be a long term, whether, what we can do to improve it. But for now, yes.
And how is the new on-site coordinator? I forgot her name, but how is she settling in?
Oh, Lexi, she finally got a day off this weekend, so I'm sure she was ecstatic. So she's pretty much been working 7 days a week for the last 3 months, 4 months. So she settled in. She did a great job. We're going to be meeting tomorrow afternoon to discuss a grant opportunity with the American Rescue program that could possibly fund a fishing pier / kayak pier onto the lake. So that's going to be the biggest thing now, is just pushing forward on a lot of the projects and be able to pick back up full swing on renovating the lodge and some of the other buildings that were kind of put on hold during the summer.
Sounds wonderful. Are there any plans for like a winter break or next spring break? I guess not a winter because they're still.
My guess would be is she will probably plan on having a spring break camp, and then go right into a summer camp again. I think we are going to try to move into renting the facilities out starting in the spring, just depending on, hopefully everything should be done by January, and then that will actually open up a lot of opportunities to start hosting events and weddings or whatever she can get going out there.
Perfect. Sounds like a winner. That was a good purchase, Tina. So,
the construction of the new tower should be a climbing tower. We're going to tear down the old one and put a new one in. That should be starting in the next month.
and just throwing out a suggestion that if you're going to have a climbing tower and maybe other elements of a COPES course, and I honestly, I don't even know what COPES stands for, but I know Meridian has one on their property, that they invite some kids, older kids, of course, but to do that, and it's a really good team building activity. So.
Oh yeah, Lexi has a lot of ideas, so we're pretty confident she's gonna hit the ground running and have a lot of stuff going by this time next year.
Great, wonderful. I'm glad it's all working out. And then and there was an on-site. Is he year-round the maintenance person?
Yes, he's full time. He's there. He's not live on yet. The house had to be demolished. Is basically so far beyond code and repair that they just needed to remove it. So they've ordered a new one, but it probably won't be on site till first of the year before he can move in. And then also our new office building will probably be similar time frame, first of the year, be on site and remove the old building.
Okay.
So that office will house Lexi, myself, John Morris, and eventually we're trying to add another administrative position to help with the workload that's coming with Tuscaloosa. So they'll be all housed out of that office there.
Oh, great. And last question about that I have is, and I don't have my notes from last time. I'm sorry, I just left them right on my bureau thing at the house, but the online registration system for the kids, did that seem to cooperate?
As far as I know, it went pretty smoothly. She didn't give me any input that there was some problems, but we've done the pavilion rentals on it as well. We're trying to set up the lodge and veteran center, Freedom Center as well, to do reservations completely online. There's a few little things we got to work out with the building rentals because of the deposit. But we'll see how it goes, you know.
Okay, all right. What is that called again? I forgot.
We're currently using Rec Desk.
All right. I think that concludes my comments or questions. Anyone else? About Crystal? Hearing none, we'll go on to 4B, which is the project update. Is this Mr. Morris's purview? Don, you want to tell us about the project update then?
Here, I've got limited internet for some reason. It keeps dropping out. Can you hear me?
No, yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
We can. I was kidding, yes. Can you see me? Yes. I can definitely hear you.
No, he can't, I don't think he can see you. He's only hearing the phone.
Oh, I see. Let's see. Okay, sorry about that. So, oh,
Can you hear me now?
yes, stay right there, wherever you are.
It's been, I don't know what's going on. It keeps dropping me out. So, the most interesting thing, if you've been following along with the updates, is that the vendor is saying that he should be installing the canoe launch this weekend for Post Springs Park.
Mm-hmm.
We are also getting ready to pour the foundations for a pair of pavilions for the multi-use field at Chestnut Park. And we recently did some small improvements out at Squirrel Ridge, where we fenced off the poo pond and installed the dog pools. We're going to use some lessons learned with those and reinstall them and add a dog wash in the coming weeks as well. Veterans Park has received its approval from land development. So we are certainly moving forward with that. We should have a final design ready to send to purchasing later this month. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
So let's go back in the meantime, let's go back to Poe. I know the waters were very high because of all this rain, and
Yes.
So how did the new boardwalk fare with all the water? Was it underwater?
So the only about just up to the first observation platform.
Mhm.
So probably about 60 feet where it transitions back down to natural ground. That section was underwater for a few days, but all the rest of it was above water the whole time. Now the little boardwalk in the woods, that was underwater for a week or two to, avoid a small flood, not
Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, I was just curious, but that is, we had an extraordinary amount of extra water, so I think that's because they actually they widened the boardwalk and went up in height. Is that right?
think he heard me.
What was the question again?
I said, not only did they widen the boardwalk, but did they go up in height?
Yes, they raised it higher than the previous.
Okay,
And that will be the same when the new restroom comes in this fall. It's actually going to be up off the ground higher.
Those were kind of the highlights.
We caught every word of that, John. Thank you for those highlights.
So we've closed Poe Springs again because of the flooding. It's going to be closed for a few weeks, I believe, with this upcoming storm next week.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it can open sooner, but I think it's realistically, we're looking at least right before Labor Day before we'll be able to reopen.
Okay. All right, good work. Thank you. So next on our agenda is review and approve it that the ROSCO 2021 annual report and work plan. Do we need to hold off until? All right, moving on. I believe, what's the update on the UF, their efforts to collect data?
That's completed. But what they provided really wasn't, I don't know, wasn't really useful, I thought. However, it will be implemented in the approved master plan that we are moving forward with. So that data will be incorporated, which it saved us some money as well on the master plan. So basically it gave us, like, you know, information on grills or so many grills or playgrounds within vicinity, so many miles, those kind of things. I just really didn't think it was very useful, but it is going to be good for the site inventories. The master plan is a year-long process, so we probably won't see the fruits of that until next summer sometime. Which, if it's done correctly, should highlight a lot of potential recreational land opportunities of where we can provide recreational parks and services that currently are underserved. So I'm excited to see that.
Are they, I guess you're still on board then working on those, or is that project complete? The data collect.
It's complete. They're done. We've got the final report. It's just, like I said, it's when we got it, it was really not anything worthy of really bringing. I mean, it just gives you some statistical data. That's about it.
No one else has any comments or questions about 4 on the agenda, which is old business, and we have our new business, which is section 5A is the election of the chair and vice chair. So the board was made aware that I'm stepping down, but they didn't replace me at the meeting yesterday, right?
We have to choose. I think what happens is the committee has to choose the chair.
The chair.
Yeah.
And that can't happen.
No.
Like what about vice chair? Is Brian stepping away also?
No, he
Oh, I
mean,
see. In case he goes up. Okay.
right. I don't even know who makes that. I mean, everybody has to be together to make a decision.
That's true. Okay, well, we're going to table that until October's meeting, I assume, unless, I don't know if we can have another meeting before that. If you need me to, obviously I can come back through Zoom. I need to come, I can do Zoom. Not Zoom.
Oh, okay. So Gina just said that the vice chair is the current chair until we all get together and vote.
Okay. So Brian Avery is chair as of
Right.
the end of this meeting. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I don't know where it was. I just read that meeting. I don't know.
Huh.
Okay.
All right, so moving moving on to 5B, we have the ROSCO annual report. That's our internal submission and work plan. And so we have work to do, apparently. And we made changes along. We have not submitted that, I guess, to the board,
No,
at this point.
never, because it was never approved.
And yet we have to wait until the next thing. Do you want to pull us back? And I'm asking in general, but should we not wait until October, not skip a month and just go ahead and come back in September?
Yeah, we should. I mean, we skipped another one already because the previous one we couldn't really do anything because
Exactly, yeah.
of the internet and we couldn't connect and.
So let's make the next date, which we have one more thing on the agenda, but we're changing it around to Wednesday, September. Is it third Wednesday?
It's the second,
The second is what we decided?
yes.
September the 8th at 1:30?
Mhm.
I thought we dropped it down because it's the same, or no, I'm sorry, it is the second, you're right.
It
We
used to
dropped-
be the
We
first,
dropped it from the first.
right.
Kind of keep my memory good. And then, we already did, oh, no, we're done. The discussion of draft, recreation policies was done by John Hayes and, Mike.
Yeah.
And so that's what we have to cover today. Any additional comments? Any public comments? Well, I fully intend on my end to be back on September the 8th. I'll put it in my calendar and then, send me a Zoom link as you would. I'll have my
Sure.
same email that you sent it to. I'll just
Yeah.
be same organization, but just a different location.
Okay,
So, and then I will be just part of the group.
Mhm.
And then I will bow out at that point, because I guess not be considered necessarily a Lancaster County resident,
right,
even though I have a house here, I'm gonna pay taxes.
yes. That's the important part.
Yeah, and that will remain the same. But for all intent and purposes, I will be stepping down today or yesterday, if when I put it that way, the board was notified. So thank you for letting me be the chair last year or so, and it's been an interesting one at that. Melissa, do you have anything you want to add to one of our committee members? I don't know if you can hear me, Melissa.
I don't think.
Suzanne, do you have anything to add as far as, I know school kicked off yesterday?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, unless anyone else has any comments or questions, that concludes our August meeting of the ROSCO. I want to say committee, but it's a redundant. Y'all keep up the good work, for sure.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.